Good morning. It is 7 o'clock, and welcome into the Real Monica Adams Show. So thrilled to have you with us on a Monday. We're going to be talking about some gorgeous weather on tap for this week, and some not so good weather if you live in LA or if you know anyone that's in the Hollywood Hills area. We'll talk with Beckett more about that in just a second. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Maybe some of you went down to the pet parade. They had about 100,000 people yesterday for the Purina Pet Parade and the Wiener Dog Derby, and they raised some big money for Open Door Animal Sanctuary, which is a no-kill shelter in Jefferson County. So I hope you had a chance to go to that. If you did, go ahead and put some comments about how much fun you had. Are you looking forward to this weekend? If you're a big Mardi Gras fan, they have the Grand Parade and the Mayor's Ball on tap for this weekend, and hopefully you'll have some good weather for that. I know we do have some rain a little bit later on in the week. We'll talk about the Grammys. We'll talk about the Super Bowl coming up, a full list of all of that, and some places where you can catch the Real Monica Adams team. It is 7:01 though, and let's get right into our weather with our aspiring meteorologist. Beckett Moore is back with us, coming home from a wonderful Storm Chaser Summit. First of all, Beckett, good morning to you.
Good morning, Monica. How are you?
Look, I'm great. So we actually had all these slides ready to go, but he's so professional already, our aspiring meteorologist, putting this all together. Before we get to the picture on the left, because that's what I want to really go into big time with you, Beckett, talk about the summit, what you most got out of it, and those pictures of some of the people that you met that are some of your favorites in the field.
Yeah, so it was so awesome, just the networking with everyone there, seeing all of the great speakers. It was a truly incredible event, and it was just bigger and better than ever before, their biggest summit ever. So it was really, really fun. So right here, this is my picture of being on the Weather Channel. Can't thank Charles Peak enough, the Weather Channel Storm Tracker, for having me on. So that was on Friday. And this is me with Reed Timmer. Maybe some of you guys know him. If you don't, he is a legendary storm chaser. Met him last year, but saw him again. And then this one right here on the right of your screen is with Mike Bettis, who I've been watching since I was probably 7 or 8 years old on the Weather Channel, and I really do look up to him.
So what was the biggest thing as far as feedback that you got from those that you look up to?
Just to keep doing it. Keep doing your thing, keep having that passion for weather, and just never stop chasing.
Okay, so I was looking at all of your, you shouldn't, instead of Twitter, we'll say X. I was looking at all of your tweets from the time that you were there and just how excited you were. And one of the things that I really loved is how you used the word passion and emotional about one of the presentations. What was it about that was so emotional and passionate?
Well, it was the Rolling Fork presentation, and that was a tornado last spring that went through that town in Mississippi, Rolling Fork, and unfortunately people died, and it just wiped out the entire town. And some of the people who were there under the rubble with that storm were at the summit during that talk, so it was definitely an emotional talk about, what can we do in the future to keep these people a little bit more prepared.
Absolutely. And then we're talking about the picture to the left, and I was so proud of you. I sent a message to Beckett yesterday. I saw a post from your mom, Jill, and your father, Marty. You won a Vortex Award for Best Future Meteorologist at the National Storm Chaser Summit, and she said, I am over the moon happy for him. What was your emotions going through your head when you got that?
Well, I had no idea I was getting that, and I was just expecting, see these great photographers and storm chasers going up there to get their award, and then they announced my name. I was like, what? And then I went up there, made a couple of comments, but I was definitely not expecting that, but definitely very happy at the same time.
Well, and what does that mean to you? Because there's a lot of people that are aspiring to be a meteorologist, but you are getting a lot of attention. You just mentioned you were on the Weather Channel. We mentioned a few weeks back you were on Fox Weather. There's a lot of momentum towards you, Beckett, and why do you think that is?
I guess it's just because I don't know. I kind of want to stay humble here, but it's just, I guess they really like my aspiring meteorology, my love for meteorology, my passion, and I'm just going to keep doing it.
And you are. You're doing it so great. And I love the humble side of you. You obviously can see there, everybody, how well he was raised, not being braggadocious at all, not egotistical, but he's just doing really great. And we mentioned before that if I could, I would hire him right now on the spot just because of his passion, but more so what the depths that he goes to pull all these slides together. I mean, look how professional he is already putting that together. All right, let's go ahead and do what you do well, which is our predictions of the weather. We're not going to complain about this 7-day outlook.
Yeah, so here's our 7-day outlook. Today we got a high of 50 with a low of 34. That 34 has probably already happened early this morning. We are going to have partly cloudy skies, but there will be a lot of sun out there today, but there will be some clouds. Now tomorrow it's pretty much rinse and repeat with a high of 51. Same conditions, partly cloudy with a lot of sun. Wednesday we get some clouds to move on in. There will be some sun, but mostly cloudy, high of 58, low of 45. And then that's when we really start to warm up. Thursday there is a rain chance, so we're going to have to watch for that. Doesn't look like a very big rain chance, so it's not going to be a washout. At least it doesn't look like for now. But again, 60 degrees, very warm with a low of 49. A low of 49, look at that. And then Friday, very nice, all sunny. High of 65, so that's going to be very nice. Great day to get outside. Saturday, though, we do have increasing cloud cover. Still a nice temperature, 55 degrees. And then Sunday, I have a watch alert. Not to scare anyone or anything, but that we are going to have to watch for a system, maybe a rain system, possibly a snow system. We don't really know right now, but Sunday and a Monday, early next week, we're going to have to watch for a storm system. But a pretty quiet week overall.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Sunshine. We have some rain moving in, but we're talking 60s as we are in February, which is great. So before you go, Beckett, I mentioned at the beginning, for anybody who has relatives or maybe they're traveling, what's going on in the Hollywood Hills and the LA area? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh, in Southern California?
Yes.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Okay, yeah, we're talking about the rain. I mean, again, the ground is already saturated and they've got more rain on the way.
Yeah.
So from the flooding aspect of what's happening in LA, Hollywood Hills, for California.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to watch for those debris flows in those rivers, down in those valleys from the mountains. All of that rain is going to be going in to those rivers and creeks, and that's definitely going to be some problems. Could have rock slides. I've already seen that, especially up in the foothills of those mountains. There along the coast as well. So you got to be definitely very careful down there in Southern California.
Absolutely. Well, Becca, thank you. And again, congratulations on your award and welcome back to you. Thank you so much for everything that you do.
Thank you so much, Monica.
All right, that's aspiring meteorologist Beckett Moore. If you're new to the show, he joined us about a month ago. Incredible in what he's doing, and as you can hear and see, getting national attention from, again, Fox, from the Weather Channel, and then getting that award. So very proud of him. Okay, if you're just tuning in, welcome to the show, by the way. We are in the Invita Health and Wellness Studios. Just want to give a little recap. We mentioned what happened with regards to the parade this past weekend, what's coming up for Mardi Gras. But how about the Grammys? Did any of you had to get a chance to see that? If you're a fan of Taylor Swift, you'll be happy because she won Album of the Year. But the bigger news is what she announced to her fans that she's been keeping a secret for the last couple of years, that she has a brand new album coming out for you in April. What do you think about that? Are you a Swiftie? Are you looking forward to this weekend and the Super Bowl between the Chiefs and the 49ers? Will she be there after, I think it's in Japan that she's got a concert. She'll have to really quick get onto a flight and then get to the Super Bowl. I'd be shocked if she's not there to cheer on her boyfriend, of course, Travis Kelce. So congratulations for Album of the Year. They also honored those that we lost. We're talking about, well, there were many, but Jimmy Buffett. They actually came out with Stevie Wonder and others that were doing an homage to those that we lost. And for those that love Tina Turner, Oprah Winfrey was there. Fantasia Barrino did a little Proud Mary. I know that the crowd was going nuts to that song. Just multiple levels. But one of the things I always talk about, women lifting women up, there were a bunch of people that took to social media saying that Taylor Swift snubbed Celine Dion. Celine Dion was there, and she was the one presenting Taylor with the award. But there was so much going on, and you got to put yourself in that person's mind, that she turned her head, grabbed the award, and then was coming back to the crowd, and here was Celine on her left. They're saying that she didn't even look at Celine, and she snubbed her. But then there were pictures that showed up on social media that had the two of them side by side, hugging, laughing together. So why women and men and just human beings, why do you try to start hate and just throw shade? So that's what everybody was doing. We just can't be happy for anyone. So that's what you're going to find trending in social media. Again, getting ready for Super Bowl 58, the Chiefs, the 49ers. Where are you going to spend your Super Bowl? I'll look at some of the comments. And also it was really cool to see Billy Joel performing at the Grammys for the first time in 17 years. Wasn't that amazing? Anything else that you really loved about the Grammys or anything that you want to talk about that happened over the weekend? Go ahead and pop it in the comments. I will be keeping an eye on those throughout the hour. A lot of people saying congratulations to Beckett. Well deserved. You've got the right stuff. Yes, he does. Good morning to all of you. Again, I hope you had a fantastic weekend. I'm going to do something today that I've wanted to do for probably my entire career, 20 or 30 years, right, that I've been in this business. I've always been a fan of medicine. You know, if you know me, a lot of people know that I was studying to do sports medicine, physical therapy, athletic training, and if I loved it as much as I thought I was going to continue on to be an orthopedic surgeon. Of course, very traditional Western medicine. And as I would go along in my career and go along with taking care of myself and training, I was opening my mind and my heart to more Eastern medicine, functional medicine, natural, holistic, homeopathy, whatever you want to call it. And I always thought if I was a doctor, would I be one of the first that would have opened my practice to both sides? Because I've always believed that there needs to be a beautiful marriage between Eastern and Western culture medicine. What are your thoughts on that? I'm hoping that you drop tons of comments and questions today as we do a first ever Bringing the Doctors Together. Dr. Charles Willey with Innovare Health Advocates and Dr. Sara Franco, who was a long-time nurse anesthetist. She was in the ER as a nurse, and then she started Invita Health and Wellness. And we've talked a lot with her over the last year about the many things that they're able to do at her clinic, including ketamine, including vitamin D, other vitamin B12 shots. We're talking about IV hydration therapy, multiple levels of taking care of your body inside and out. And I've always wanted to know, what are the thoughts for those that are more in traditional medicine? What do you think of acupuncture? What do you think of even massage, energy work, all those different things that we can do to take care of ourselves and be more preventative, the root cause instead of more reacting? All those questions I know a lot of you have had, even when it comes to supplementation and herbs, things like that. I know you've asked these questions before, so feel free. I'm going to open up the lines right now, and I'm going to be looking at tons of your questions and comments over the next hour of what your thoughts are on your own health and your own body. So let's do it. We called it a cage match. Is it? Let's ring the bell. It's time to bring the doctors in, and let's see what we see and hear from them about traditional versus functional medicine. Dr. Charles Willey and Dr. Sara Franco in the blue chairs when we return.
Invita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. Invita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, Invita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let Invita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment or online InvitaHealthandWellness.com.
You are truly an incredible human being, and just what you're doing is so inspiring. This was really a cathartic experience for me. So I appreciate you, love you. It's been an honor to not only just be here on set with you, but just to sit in your presence. You inspire everyone around you, from your motivational speaking to your podcast here, to just being the human that you are.
It's just such a joy to be able to see you at this point in your career. Really following your passion, fulfilling your dreams, and encouraging other people to do the same.
I feel that I've been missing out. I believe believe God places people like you in people's lives for a reason. You have definitely been a God wink for me.
Well, thank you to each and every one of you, and thank you to my team for putting these promos together. They very much touched my heart, and I had an incredible hour-and-a-half meeting yesterday about an idea that we have of bringing that to you. So for those of you that come to some of our upcoming events that we have, one of them on Thursday, if you come out to Espresso yourself, I might put you on camera, and you might be a part of a promo very soon. We'll talk about some of those upcoming opportunities for you to join the Real Monica Adams team. It is 7:16. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Something I've wanted to do my entire career. I've done it off camera. In fact, the funniest thing was, for 20 years, I did something called In the Spotlight, which was with doctors from every walk of life. And they would always tell me the true story when the cameras went off, when the microphones went off. And they would always say, I wish I could say this on camera, Monica. And I said, then do it. And they said, this is how we really feel. But at the time, we're talking 20, 25, 30 years ago, they thought they might be the laughing stock of their industry. And I said, no, you'd be innovative. You would be maybe one of the first to open up your practice. And they always agreed with that. And I'm talking about very highly national respected heart surgeons, brain surgeons, interns. It doesn't matter, internists. It doesn't matter what level it was. And then I always thought how great it would be to bring them together when we had more and more and more people talking about it. So today we're doing just that. And I thought it was really funny because Dr. Sara Franco had said something in the comments last week about a cage fight, and I said, no, this is a beautiful debate that we're going to have. Oh, there's the ringing of the bell. Dr. Charles Willey with Innovare Health Advocates and Sara Franco with Invita Health and Wellness. First of all, thank you so much bringing both of you together. We have huge numbers of people on right now ready for this. I knew it. We're going to have a lot of questions, a lot of comments, but I want to thank both of you, very well respected in your industries. If you have not seen these two beautiful people, we'll give you a little bit of background. Dr. Charles Willey with Innovare Health Advocates, 40 years as a trusted physician, used to be the president of ESSA and Essence Healthcare, and we've talked to him separately, more traditional medicine. Sara Franco, who was for 20 years or more, 20 years working as a nurse anesthetist in the ER, and then she opened Invita, the clinic that we've been talking about for a long time, Invita Health and Wellness, taking care of your body on the inside and out. So you both come from traditional medicine, but you opened your mind to what would be considered functional medicine. So before we get to you, I just want to ask Dr. Willey, first of all, what do you, like if you had to categorize what you think just the definition alone is, of what do you think functional medicine is?
You said we could say anything.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Absolutely. This is the Real Monica
I
Adams
don't
show.
know what it is.
So you're
So I'm asking Sara to tell me what it is.
okay. So what would you say functional medicine is?
I would say it's a more proactive, preventative approach to medicine.
So if you look, and I did this, I was on pages and pages over the last week of what anything on Google, because this is what you all do. You all go and you do WebMD and you all think you can determine what's going on with you, which is a dangerous thing, by the way. I want you to go to professionals. But if you Google functional medicine, it talks about the root cause. It talks about preventative, instead of being more reacting or waiting until all these levels have happened and then you're trying to react afterwards. And then traditional medicine doctors are trying to fight, which Dr. Willey has actually said in the past. If he was able to get you all to come in earlier, that maybe they could take care of that problem. So it's more of a preventative standpoint.
Well, maybe I'm unusual in traditional medicine,
Right.
but all day long I'm trying to get people to pay attention early, change their behavior. 50% of healthcare problems are behavior. Change your behavior, be healthy,
Right.
and get after it. Now, when you're sick, we're here. We're here for you. We'll bail you out. We'll straighten you out if we can, and often we can. And then we have leverage. And I tell you, I use it. I'll have people in the hospital bed, sick, and it's because they've been misbehaving. And I don't hold. That's leverage to me. I tell them, listen, you're here because you didn't do this and that and this and that.
And that's where you two would agree, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So
And that's the thing that I hope you all get that we've been trying to stress for my entire career during this last year. It is the part that you play, the role that you play, and if you actually listen to these respected medical professionals. So one of the things I wanted to start with is, I think you had mentioned it last week when we were talking about how many pills people might take and their pill boxes, etc. And you mentioned what you take every morning, and it is?
I take an aspirin every day.
Mhm.
I take a fish oil pill every day. Vitamin D. Fish oil, vitamin D. Yeah, and just for fun, because it tastes good, I chew a vitamin C every day.
Is it a Flintstone gummy?
No, it's somebody put something sweet in it. It tastes. I used to drink orange juice every day, but I don't burn that every day. So I'm not exercising as much as I should.
Okay.
So I take a vitamin C because that used to be in my orange juice.
But let me ask, so the one thing that really stuck out, because in the past, it would have been that doctors would have said, and I know this because they were on my show, fish oil, I don't care, you can take it or not take it. Would you consider fish oil to be in preventative kind of functional medicine?
Oh, absolutely.
So see?
Yeah.
So you are part of functional.
Well, if you eat fish from the ocean a couple times a week, you don't need it. And often, if you eat a good diet, you don't need this stuff, right?
But most people don't. So then that's where we're trying to be
Well,
preventative.
Having time to eat fish from the ocean a couple times a week,
Do you like fish?
I love it.
Oh, okay.
I love
So
it.
do you eat fish and take a fish oil?
Well, I take the fish oil pill every day, and if we have fish, that's great.
So can you overdo fish oil supplements?
No.
No, your
No.
body's just going to excrete out anything that you.
Do either of you have any issue with mercury and eating too much fish and certain fishes?
You would have to eat a really large amount of fish in order to have any kind of heavy metal poisoning.
And I'm
especially-
asking this because I'm telling you that there are people who will look online and say, oh, you can't eat this type of fish because of mercury. Or is it an issue for pregnant women to eat certain fishes?
I would personally recommend dialing it back just a little bit, in way of, that's why we don't do things like sushi and things like that whenever you're suggested whenever you're pregnant. But I mean, I would definitely not avoid fish when you're pregnant.
Is the sushi for mercury or is it for like the raw aspect?
Well, I think both of those
Is
things
it
are
both?
components of that. Yes.
If you're just tuning in, this is Sara Franco, Invita Health and Wellness, and then Dr. Charles Willey with Innovare Health Advocates. And there are people in the past that have asked, let's just use this one. So you mentioned vitamin D. So I'm going to go with this to start off, because I know both of you were prepared for this one at least. Again, we're all willing to just let you go and ask any questions that you want. And what I love about both of you is you're humble enough to say, I don't know that one, but let me research it. Let me go a little bit deeper into that one. So thoughts on vitamin D? Let's go to you first. Vitamin D, taking it as a pill or eating the amount that you're supposed to. But you would be more on saying take a vitamin D supplement?
Well, it's you have the picture up, 3 or 4 servings of dairy a day to have the adequate amount of calcium. Vitamin D is put in many of the foods that are manufactured, milk, etc. So it's again difficult to get enough of that in the diet. So just take a vitamin D pill every day. And if you were, if you're in your bikini on the beach every day, getting lots of sun,
We'll get some sun this week.
then you'll have plenty of vitamin D.
There's a gorgeous sunshine picture.
So summertime, you got your shirt off and you're working in the backyard. You may make enough vitamin D, but just take a vitamin D pill every day. Now, vitamin D is one of the potentially toxic vitamins. A, E, D, K. You can take too much.
So this was going to be the question. So this is where I want to get the viewpoint. So Dr. Willey, your thoughts on how much we should take vitamin D in a day?
Most people, 1,000. Actually, the 800 units is enough for most people. Now, I tell people, I take it myself. I find it in the store on the shelf, 1,000 or 2,000. Don't go above 4,000 units of D3 a day.
D3. So
Now,
here's
if somebody's deficient, we start with a higher dose to catch them up
okay.
for 4 or 5 weeks, and then just a simple maintenance dose every day.
So we have heard, I'm going to speak for the general public, and they're going to speak from the medical side. I've heard 5,000 IUs.
5,000 is generally what we recommend as well.
So you think 5,000 is too
Close
much?
enough, 4 or 5,000.
220, 225.
Total American, we don't have to be that precise. But don't go beyond that, because there is potential toxicity.
So if someone came in, so one of the things that Sara does at Invita Health and Wellness, you'll do the labs. If you find that they are deficient, okay, let's just take me. So we're going to go ahead and use me as an example. I was pretty low. So you were just mentioning, Dr. Willey, that you could jump up and then start to taper down. For us, we did what?
So we did vitamin D injections. So recommended as far as intramuscular is 100,000 international units a month. So it's a one-time injection that you can get per month. What we will do generally if you fall below the normal range, which I've yet to see anybody therapeutic in the Midwest, we don't get enough sunlight here, and our diet just isn't composed of enough things that contain vitamin D. We would do 100,000 international units every 2 weeks for 3 rounds, and then we would recheck your D and then probably drop you back down to, if you needed more, then we would continue on for 1 or 2 more doses of that 100,000, and then we would drop you back down to just a regular amount.
What are your thoughts on that?
If you divide 100,000 by 30, you get to 3,000
Right.
and change a day. So that's about right.
And then Dr. Willey, you are mentioning taking it in a pill form, but what was the reason, Sara, that you say that you prefer doing it as an injection?
Just because of the bioavailability, and I think that's why we go with the 5,000 international units, is just because the percentage that you lose in the gut with absorption and things like that, you probably end up, probably not even 3,000, but you're definitely going to be well below that 5,000 international unit a day. The bioavailability for oral vitamin D is about 19%, where with intramuscular it's about 93%.
What do you think about that?
I think it's we don't have to be that precise, and if whatever we do, we check it and it's good, the level is now normal on that dose, then we're good.
Okay, so if you all have any questions about vitamin D, please let us know. You also, now this came up, and this is a couple years back, that before I met Sara, and this is where I say there's a lot of these kind of pop-up clinics, and all of a sudden you'll see, that they close. Well, it's because they don't have respected medical professionals that were there, and that's a very dangerous thing, by the way. I'm not going to ever mention the place. The place that I went to, it was kind of a free-for-all, and I told Sara this. It was, for me, being in health and wellness and being a trainer for so many years, I was super excited that clinics were opening up and that it was, IV hydration therapy, cryotherapy, put these things on your legs for the breakdown of lactic acid, go in and get red light therapy, all these things. It was like, stay here all day, Monica, it's like a playground. And then I went to my doctor, which is Dr. Willey, and he came back and said, what? No. I don't want you doing any of these. I have a blood clotting disorder. I have a little bit of a heart issue also. And he was frustrated that they allowed that to happen. I then went to Sara, and she's like, I wouldn't have had you do cryotherapy. You should actually never do that. We're talking about from my clotting aspect. But all these other things that had happened. From the IV side, and this is what I'm going to ask both of you. From an IV hydration therapy side, why are you such a big proponent of IV hydration therapy?
Just because of the overall wellness that it can promote for the body. So, it helps the immune system. It helps as far as end organ function and flushing out toxins and things like that. Most of us do not drink enough water. We should be drinking our body weight in water, and that just doesn't happen for the majority of people. So most of us, in order to flush out those toxins, we're going to need some other kind of, hydration, and IV therapy is that for many people.
So you believe that most people, even though they're told to do what we bring for you all every time there's a guest in here, that they do not drink enough water. In fact, that might be all the water, if they're lucky, that they drink in a day. That's why you think we're just walking around as a dehydrated nation?
I think as far as the majority of folks go, they're probably in some state of dehydration, not necessarily having muscle cramps or things like that, but brain fog and concentrated urine, things like that are other kind of signs of dehydration. I think the majority of people are not drinking enough water.
And before I get to Dr. Willey on his thoughts about that, that's a good point to bring up. We need, and I do thank Dr. Oz for this, by the way, because he started to get us talking about our pee and our poop, by the way. And I know some of you might be eating breakfast, so I'm sorry for that comment. But we need to be talking about these things. I know, Dr. Willey. We need to be turning around and looking. If it is just bright yellow, that's not a good thing, is it?
No, or dark orange or red. Those are all things that you need to be looking for in your urine.
You know your body. You got to look at this and you got to tell the doctors. Okay, so this is one of the things I wanted to ask you. What are your thoughts now? You just heard why they do IV hydration therapy. I know your whole thing, when I did that a couple years back, you said why? Because you would prefer that people obviously drink water. But they don't listen to you.
They both work. This is cheaper. Just do it. No.
But they don't do it.
Well,
so if they're
if
dehydrated.
they don't and you want to go, yeah, hydration, she's right, hydration is critical. You got to we're roving chemistry labs, we humans. And you got to keep the solutes and the solutions correct. So you need a lot of water. So drink it.
Is there anyone that shouldn't be doing IV hydration therapy?
Well, we take a full medical history before we're going to do anything. So if you have something like congestive heart failure, or you have some kind of pituitary disorder or something like that, then we're going to vet that out and make sure that either one, maybe you don't get a liter of fluid, maybe you get a half a liter of fluid, or you get 250 of fluid if we're wanting to get some vitamins and other nutrients into you. I mean, there's definitely different comorbidities that are going to play into it, but that's why you need to be visiting a medical professional in some capacity, and not just a clinic that has, a pretty menu up on the board and you can choose anything that you want.
Absolutely. If you're just tuning in,
a nurse anesthetist would know.
She would, right? She specialized in
not giving the volume too fast.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
But this is the reason why. This is one of the reasons why I respect her so much, why she's our title sponsor, why I ever allowed that to happen back in May of last year. If I didn't trust what she did, I wouldn't have her in this chair. I don't want to be passing things along from people like I experienced a couple years ago from a place that I questioned, and I'm glad I questioned, and I went to him immediately and thought, I think I probably need to tell him that this is what happened, and he was against it, and she is as well. So yes, she will not let you do something that she doesn't agree with. I mean, that's where you're in good hands, and that's what's important. If you're just tuning in, by the way, again, it's Sara Franco, Invita Health and Wellness, Dr. Charles Willey with Innovare Health Advocates. So somebody said, I was shocked when I was in my 50s that my D was so low. My doctor put me on 50,000 IU D2 every week. And somebody else just said, same with me, but my doctor only put me on 25,000 and for only 3 months, then a daily of 2,000.
Right. It's just going to vary based on what your labs are. I would
Yeah, those are ballpark standards.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
what
about
are
right.
symptoms of vitamin D toxicity?
I actually haven't seen vitamin. I mean, ADEK, he's correct. Any kind of fat soluble vitamin, there is the potential there, but really, other than like headaches and GI upset, they're not going to cause any kind of cardiac or absolute outward that I can think of issues. But
yeah, there's a vitamin D study or two that they're trying to prove what's the right dose, and at higher doses, became concerned paradoxically about falling and fractures, and I don't understand the physiology of that, but the study came across it. In the people who took too much, there was a higher incidence of falling and fractures, paradoxically, because one of the reasons we want you to have enough vitamin D is to keep your bones strong. Mm-hmm. Vitamin D and calcium to keep your bones strong. So.
Right. And then vitamin K, if I could just touch on that, mm-hmm. Vitamin K, that can cause clots if you have too much of that. So, babies get a shot of vitamin K whenever they're born. That's why folks that are taking drugs like Coumadin and things like that are supposed to stay away from. I'm sorry, not clots. It would be excessive bleeding. But that's why they're supposed to stay away from leafy green vegetables and things like that we know are high in vitamin K because of the risk of toxicity there. So
okay, and then someone had asked. Let's see. I just lost it. Okay. Well, we're talking about. We'll take a quick break. Vitamin D. We talked about IV hydration therapy. Somebody had asked in a comment last week to ask you about shingles and Shingrix. Did you look into that for me?
I did.
You did? Okay. So we're going to talk about that, and then let's look at some of the comments that are coming in. Somebody said something about fish oil. We'll get back to these comments. Again, we're bringing traditional and functional medicine together, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper into functional medicine. Is it the same as homeopathy? Is it holistic? Is it Eastern medicine? What do you think about acupuncture, energy work, all those things? Is it necessary? How do you feel if you have those things done? Really, the way I've always looked at life is it making you happy, right? I like to bring the whole balance together, mental, physical, spiritual, and that's where my mind thinks. But we'll see what they have to say. We'll have more with Dr. Willey and Sara. What?
Don't worry, be happy.
Oh, I like it. Let's hear him sing for a second. All right, we'll have more when we return.
need women to lift women up.
Let's do that.
Being on Monica's show, it was like one of the best interviews I've ever had.
Monica's very real, and she really cares about people.
She's changing lives.
Changing lives.
I think this is just really what people want to see.
Giving back so much to the community, and I really appreciate it.
Today, Monica was extraordinarily real, not only with me, but with her viewers and her listeners.
Made the interview process like talking to a friend.
How are you doing? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a few weeks.
Hey! You're close!
Monica! Whoa!
So go out in this world and be anything you want to be. But before you do that, first, be kind.
Welcome back. It is 7:36 and you're tuned in to The Real Monica Adams Show. Thank you so much. Please share and like and follow. We are on Facebook and on YouTube, and you can tell people that aren't on social media that they can watch the show on YouTube. Subscribe, by the way, so you know when we go on live. So we were talking in the beginning again about the Grammys. We were talking, somebody said that Billy Joel sang his new song and it was great. Celine did look awesome. She was talking about actually dealing with a health condition for a while and doing everything she could to take care of herself. Okay, Marilyn says, I align more with Eastern medicine. The drug company has way too much hold on Americans. Okay, I thought this comment would come up. So, Dr. Willey, you've probably heard this before. In 40 years, people get frustrated because they feel like they're taking this pill and that pill, and that doctors prescribe too much medications. And that's where I think the idea for a lot of people come of, well, can I do things more naturally? Can I do certain supplementations? Will these things help me? That's where I think the biggest fight comes that you've heard, I'm sure you've heard it before, that people say that medicine and big pharma, that there's this marriage. And the reason why we won't ever have the things that they want from a natural side is because it would take the money away from that. That's the comment that I knew would come in. So I want you as a trusted 40-plus year physician to address that.
I'm from Missouri. Show me. Show me the evidence. We have great medicines. We have miracle medicines.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Absolutely miracle medicines. We're treating cancers that 6 years ago, 10 years ago, these things, you're dead in 3 to 6 months. And people are alive for years now. Now it's, I'm angry at pharma because they're charging too damn much for these drugs. Okay? Got a lady who's taken one pill and it's controlling her acute leukemia. She'd been dead in 6 weeks, but they want $500,000 a year for that. That's nuts. Okay, but show me the evidence. Does it work? What's the risk? It's always everything I talk about is risk-benefit analysis. What's the potential benefit? What's the probability? And it's always probability. We never have certainty. What's the probability it's going to help? What's the probability it's going to give you a side effect? Mm-hmm. And depending on the condition, let's give it a try. The condition is worse than the probability, worse than the side effect, and you have the condition. It's certain that you have it, but the probability of a side effect is 5, 10, 20%. The probability of helping you is 50 to 75%. Let's give it a whirl, keep an eye on it, monitor it, and then decide, right? So
I think a lot of people's problems is they get prescribed certain medications, and then they look at this laundry list of side effects, and they get frustrated by that.
Let's see, I'm married to a lawyer, so I have license to bash them. 95% of lawyers are dirtbags. Okay, 5% are useful people.
And your wife falls in the 5%.
Yes. Unless I've been misbehaving. So then we're.
So you think it's just to take care from a
it's
lawyer
it's
talk?
It's legal defense. There's
legalese.
So the drug company comes out with a drug. It takes them $2 billion now to bring a drug to market, and part of it's and then there's everybody experienced it in the COVID vaccine. There was we were the experiment on the COVID vaccine, and the drug company said, hey, if you had a problem, fill out a form. Okay, well, my teeth itched when I took the COVID vaccine, so I put that on the form and sent it in. Teeth don't itch, right? Teeth don't itch. Okay, so the the sun didn't come up the day I took the COVID vaccine. So did the COVID vaccine cause the sun not to come up? I don't think so. Okay, so they put everything that anybody ever said to them in one of those surveys on that list.
To cover their butts.
Because when they got sued, what did the judge or the jury or the lawyer say? Well, doctor, did you tell the patient that might happen? Okay. So now if they told the patient that that might happen, it's a potential legal defense. It's maddening. And I'll tell you what, it's anxiety provoking to be sick. Even if you're not one who has anxiety. But if you have a little anxiety, it's really difficult. But read the package insert, it'll make you crazy. It makes me crazy. I don't read it. So I tell, listen, that's what I'm for. Don't read it, call me.
Well, let's address this, because I think one of the things that, and I'm seeing it from a lot of people that are writing in, they get frustrated, and you understand this, because people will come to Envita and they'll say, is this covered by insurance? You hear it all the time, right?
Every day.
You, of course, would like to say yes, but yes and no, because here's the biggest problem. There are things that you say, well, if all of a sudden it was covered by insurance and something comes up in labs and all of a sudden there's this red flag, then you're looking at insurance costs going up, or you go and you're going to apply for life insurance and that's going to show up. Talk about that.
Exactly. So, everyone who is who gets these medications prescribed, and I mean, even things that we're prescribing, semaglutide, Ozempic, tirzepatide, Mounjaro, if you go in, and I'm kind of picking on weight loss right now, phentermine, then you go to get life insurance later, and you've basically taken a drug that was either prescribed, FDA approved for morbid obesity or for diabetes. And now you have to try to dispel the fact that you have all of these things, because, these are all kind of red flags that you may have further comorbidities the older that you get, because your body was in this condition at this point in time. Maybe not necessarily something that you want going through on your insurance.
When it comes to what I would consider more natural or Eastern medicine, I went to a DO in the past. I actually would like your opinion. What's your opinion? I mean, instead of an MD, it's a DO. What are your thoughts on a DO?
Well, osteopaths training has, I say this from a point of some ignorance, but their post-medical school training is just like mine. Okay. And they're training in all the MD places, right? So it's the same. Now they started out, and maybe still do. I've met a few osteopaths who still do manipulation like chiropractors.
Mm-hmm.
I ask them about,
and some that do acupuncture.
I ask them about the evidence for it, and they're a little squeamish. But
still, 30 years later, I'm telling you, since that show,
they're touching people, and I don't understand, and I don't understand chiropractic either. There's no evidence that it's useful, but there's a whole lot of them, and people like them. So what's that about?
I need to bring you and a chiropractor in the same chairs.
Well,
that would be an interesting show.
Well,
because here's the thing. So, not just from manipulation of alignment, but you tell me if you've heard this or if you've worked with any, there are many chiropractors that I've interviewed in the past that talk about when they're actually doing the alignment, how it helps with your organs and helps the body actually.
Show me the evidence.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are going to do a show. That'll be the cage match. We'll do a show with Dr. Willey and one of the chiropractors.
Maybe we will.
Or maybe we won't. Rena
but
said,
listen, I'm not trying to. Don't go to them if you've got heart failure or, diabetes, or you've got real medical problems, because they're not going to solve your problem.
Thoughts on chiropractic?
So I grew up in an osteopathic hospital and actually worked for one. I think
that... For a chiropractor or an osteopath?
Well, no, I work for an osteopathic hospital.
Who did manipulation?
I actually, my family practice doctor does manipulation still. I don't personally go to a chiropractor. I have had a couple disc problems and really considered it whenever I was pretty desperate for a little while. I think they are beneficial. I agree with him though that you can't go and get your back adjusted and your high blood pressure go away. I do kind of still just follow that principle that if your vitamins and your nutrition is where it needs to be, if your body is in alignment like it needs to be, then it's going to be able to heal itself a little bit better than if it's not. But I do, and I went full disclosure and transparency. Please. I agree with the majority of everything that he has said today. So I was absolutely joking when I said cage match.
I know.
We all had the dinner together.
Dang,
and
I was hoping for a mud wrestle.
Yeah, right.
We're not done.
I mean, I'm sure there's going to be things. I absolutely respect his opinion. And that's the beauty of being able to talk about this, in an educated manner, is that there's definitely different views, and you pick and choose what's right for you and what's going to make you feel good. And but I in no way ever tell patients, stop taking your medication,
right.
Do this instead of taking your medication. So I mean, I agree with chiropractics, but I guess kind of like lawyers, I think there's probably some really good ones that are out there, and there's some ones that probably make a lot of promises that they're not going to be able to deliver.
As are there several really great doctors, and then there's doctors that aren't.
Claims,
huh?
And you hear fanciful claims from them, and there are doctors who aren't holding to the evidence,
right.
and are too casual, too sloppy, too whatever. But so your realm, Monica, being physically fit, keeping your muscles and your bones and your posture fit and correct goes a long way.
Well, I will say I do have mad respect, and if my mom's watching right now, she'll agree with this. She'll probably say, Monica, you haven't mentioned it yet. I have mad respect for a chiropractor who used to make house calls, Dr. David Deliner, who I don't believe is probably with us anymore. I'm sure he passed on. If you're not, oh my gosh, I don't know. I guess I have to look into that, but I wouldn't think so. He came to our house, and he is the one who diagnosed that I had a blood clot. The fact that I was released from the teaching hospital where I was, I'm not going to bash the hospital, but they let me go. I swear I thought I was on candid camera. He didn't even have, he used the end of his stethoscope to take my reflex and didn't have an anvil and was like using the end of his stethoscope, and I kept looking around like, I got to get out of this hospital. This I shouldn't be here. I know I shouldn't be here. They released me, said I had ready for it. I had a pinched nerve that was cutting off circulation. And I said, that's not possible. And he said, I'm sorry. And I said, what is it again? He said, you have a pinched nerve, it's cutting off circulation. And I was like, just let me get out of this hospital. Yeah, see? Left. So again, there's some good people, really great people in this industry, and then there are some, you better run. I came home, and if I had followed what they told me, I wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't be doing this show. I wouldn't have had this career. I would have been dead at the age of 19. Went to a chiropractor because I had messed my back up. And again, I think the thought process when you have your back messed up is to go to a chiropractor. That's who you would figure would try to fix you. Well, I came in barely being able to walk, and he looked down and looked at my legs and said, what did they tell you? And I told him, and he's like, looks like a blood clot to me. Literally straight out of his mouth. And I said, nope, just messed my back up. And thankfully, a lump had developed on the inside of my leg after my mom put me in this little hot tub, not knowing I had a blood clot, obviously.
What did he do about the blood clot?
Well, he didn't. He released me because thankfully, that guy did not adjust me that day. The smartest thing he ever could have done.
There we go. Now we're talking.
Well, he was an incredible doctor.
So,
he didn't trust what they said. He
said, go
they
get your blood
released
clot
you.
treated.
Right.
No,
right?
Well, no, because I said I don't have a blood clot. I said no.
So you didn't believe him?
Well, why would I? I was just told by a traditional medicine doctor I had nothing done. What did I do?
Yeah.
I went back home and listened to the doctor, went back home and was going to go back to Mizzou because they told me to just go home and go to my chiropractor to take care of my back. My mom put me into a tub to release the pressure in my back, and because I actually had a blood clot without us knowing I did, a huge lump developed on the inside of my leg while my legs were already swollen about 4 inches.
So he told you had a blood clot, but you didn't believe him?
He said it looks like, and I'm like, no, and he's like, okay, and I went back for him to adjust me that day, and he's like, I don't feel comfortable adjusting you.
Thank God for second opinions and do-overs.
Thank God for that chiropractor is all I'm going to say.
Well, when did you get it treated?
Because we ended up going to the hospital that night.
So after he told you twice?
Well, he told us, but then only because this lump developed did we freak out, and I said, what he said in my head is ringing that something's wrong. Let's go back.
What this young lady needs is a doctor.
We went to the hospital.
A real doctor.
But that was a doctor. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of people with these experiences. He was a real doctor. I'm not going to say his name, but if I had listened to that man, I'd be dead. And every doctor thereafter has said, thank God, again, it's your own intuition, that you did not do what he told you. Because he told me to go home, go to my chiropractor, and then go back to school on Monday. I'd be dead. That's my point. And this is the frustration of the world when you end up falling into the hands of a bad doctor, and that was a bad doctor. I hope he's not practicing to this day, but that was a bad doctor. And then I fall in the hands of a chiropractor who is forward thinking and just looking at me physically saying, I don't trust this. And he didn't adjust me, because if he had adjusted me, again, I had a clot, which was a real thing, but why would I have
Is it in
thought
your
that?
family, by the way? It's really unusual
Clotting?
for a 19-year-old to have. Were you physically active like you are now?
I've always been. I was a personal trainer
really,
at that age.
Really unusual for a 19-year-old.
But I had a clotting disorder they didn't know about.
Yeah.
They put me on birth control pills to get rid of a cyst. I should have never been put on birth control pills.
Everybody in your family?
They now do.
Been tested?
But nobody would know. Yes. So I have factor 5 Leiden. Okay, folks, can I just say this? It is not a rarity. Now I have found out multiple people, and if my family's listening, I would tell all of you just to have a simple test done, because if you have it, you should never be on hormone replacement therapy. You should not smoke. You have to watch. If you see me move, you told me we should be constantly moving around and fidgeting. I do that when I'm traveling, all these things, but I had a massive, and I haven't looked in a while, but Dr. Willey, it was the largest blood clot in medical history. Washington University students were in my intensive care room, St. Louis University students. You could go back and look back in 1990. There are studies and studies and studies of what I went through. So it was a crazy, scary time.
I'm glad the chiropractor noticed that.
I am too.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
But he didn't manipulate it, did he?
He didn't on purpose. He didn't trust. He did electrodes on me.
That's good.
To help relieve the pain I actually had, because I did actually pull my back. But you hear these stories about a kid falling out of a tree, breaking an arm, so that you can find out they have cancer. But they would have never gone into the doctor. Those are the things that movies are made of. Those are those miracle stories that are out there. I mean, you've seen those. Have you ever had an experience like that where, oh my gosh, you actually have this going on, you would have never known it?
Yeah, well, we actually have a patient right now that that we treated in Vita. She was out taking her Christmas lights down, and fell off the ladder, and I mean, she fell. It was not a ground level fall, but she wasn't 12 foot up on the ladder either, and ended up breaking numerous bones in her body. And then when they went in, they found a large mass in her lung, and then did a PET scan, and she has some metastases in various places. So a lot of things are definitely fluke things, and kind of building on what Dr. Willey said earlier about the cost of medicine and things like that. I also had a blood clot back in September with not on birth control pills, no family history of clotting disorders, and just got the rejection letter from my insurance saying that they will not pay for any of the clotting studies to be done. So I can either pay for them out of pocket, which is going to be about $1,900, or just take an aspirin every day. Or right now I'm taking Eliquis, which every time I walk down a flight of stairs, I'm afraid I'm going to, fall and end up with a head bleed or,
Right.
something like that. So not a medication I necessarily want to be taking for the rest of my life if I don't have to, but the insurance is making it difficult to get tested to see if I need to remain on it. So
there we go. There's the frustration. I mean, that's us. I'm speaking on behalf of society. That you just get frustrated when things like this happen. And again, when you had the blood clot, anytime I hear clot, it just scares me for people. But I'm also, and again, nothing to knock even my current OBGYN, who you know very well, Dr. Blaise Pignotti, is incredible. I think the two of you were in medical school at the same time. They both have mad respect for each other. But he said, Monica, I do want to say, if you were my patient back then, I can't fault the OBGYN because they didn't know you had factor 5. I didn't want to be put on birth control pills just from a morality standpoint. It's who I was, and I was like, I don't have any reason to. But it was either this massive cyst that I had, it was going to burst. She said it would be painful. Surgery, she didn't recommend. So she's like, just be on birth control pills. And then 3 weeks later, I developed, at the time, and maybe still to this day, the largest blood clot in medical history, which is crazy. You both have said this to me, because it's not that I have the gene from both of my parents, it's only from one. You would think to the massive amount of what I went through that it would have been from both. So is this just a crazy fluke that my body's just crazy?
We have the trait, so.
But to that extreme is what I think. My family and my friends just always get so scared. Every little thing. And when you said you had a clot, I was like,
the longer the clot is present untreated, the more it propagates and the longer it becomes. So it's really, once it gets started, it self-propagates until you add the anticoagulant to help your body dissolve it. So.
Well, it popped up in 3 weeks.
So it's less about the vulnerability. The vulnerability got it started, and then the delay in diagnosis or time untreated let it get bigger.
So what I think I want you all to hear today is I just believe that there's a beautiful handoff. Let me put it that way. right? Okay, I'm glad you shake your head. There's a beautiful handoff between us as a consumer to going to a traditional doctor to maybe hearing, well, and I think you've said this before, Dr. Willey, okay, I'm not going to say that you should go do it, but does it make you feel better? Like, if you go and have acupuncture and you feel like you're working around better,
Risk
you're more
benefit
energy?
analysis.
Huh?
Does it help? Does it hurt? How much can you afford it? You know?
Well, the affording
And
it,
if-
because it's not
You know,
covered.
if Sarah can get you to pay attention to your health and behave well, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's the
and
connection.
if, you know, vitamin D is a cheap date. You know, testing for vitamin D, cheap date. You know, test it. If it's low, treat it.
He talks about a cheap date. Rena said, by the way, Dr. Willey, my appointment got canceled.
With two women in the room. I hope that's not.
No,
I hope I don't get canceled for that.
Where's the HR department here?
George, write that one down. So somebody had an appointment with you, Dr. Willey. She said, because of the weather, it got canceled. Now I get to get new appointment. I had been waiting 3 months to see him. Oh, 3 months. That's right. I remember her writing in. Or I think it's her. I can't see this picture. Rena Birchfield is coming to you. I remember her asking that they're trying to get in, but because of the weather, they haven't been able to get into you. So they have an appointment and they're happy.
Well, call my cell phone later. I'll see her this week.
Oh, so your number?
314-359-0413. Nobody waits 3 months to see me if they really, you know, need to be here.
Rena, get in. He says you can get you in
Yeah.
this week. Okay, good morning, everybody. Okay, I take lemon-flavored cod liver oil for D and omegas. Agree, D is so important. Somebody said, fish oil talks back to me unless I take the fish oil with lemon. That bothers?
It can cause some burping and some GI.
Yeah. And you mentioned it's one of the biggest things for you from more of a functional side is gut health. You're really big on taking care of gut health. What's our best way of taking care of our guts?
Really to listen to your body. So if you're eating something, and there's always, this is a whole other show, differences between intolerances and allergies and things like that. But if you're eating things that your body is either really struggling to digest or is even evoking some kind of immune response, then it's going to affect numerous aspects of your life. I mean, from a neurological standpoint, from a cardiovascular standpoint, but really just, I think the take-home message is just eat a well-balanced meal, drink plenty of water, and just listen to your body and advocate for yourself.
Yeah, you've got to be your own advocate. So somebody just asked, how much is too much water?
Well, I mean, there is a such thing as water intoxication, but you would have to, and I don't actually even know percentage-wise what you would have to drink. I'm guessing probably at least 2 or 3 times your body weight. But the recommended amount for, say, a 70-kilogram, 155-pound woman is going to be around 80 ounces of water. So about half of your body weight in water.
And we don't normally hear anybody drinking too much water. It's a fact that most people are dehydrated. Linda said you're right, Dr. Willey. Water's free, drink up. But unfortunately, people don't do it. Is a multivitamin sufficient?
An oral multivitamin? I'm going to say probably not.
Thoughts, Dr. Willey?
I think most of what's in that multivitamin, if you're eating well,
Yes, I agree with this.
makes. I have a sister who was really. She didn't take any medicines, but she took 12 pills every morning of stuff, and I would jibe her. You've got the most expensive urine in town.
This
Which is what you've said
is
before.
true. This is true. If you're eating healthy, then a multivitamin is probably going to be close to what you need to be.
What do you categorize as eating healthy?
But it's not enough vitamin D in a multivitamin. It's not enough vitamin D.
No, and we just don't have enough sunshine in Missouri. I mean, I haven't seen anyone that doesn't have some kind of thyroid or parathyroid problem that has a sufficient vitamin D level, and it really does affect so many aspects of things.
And I'm telling them to avoid the sun because
with your SPF on, of course.
Yes.
But I know. Well, you just said take your shirt off.
And bikini.
I was like, well, put some sunscreen on.
That was the men that I was talking to, right? I did say
We need to
bikini for
take
the
a break.
women,
Hold
but
on.
a broad-brimmed hat.
We need to take a break. We're talking about bikinis.
A broad-brimmed hat when
Let's
you
take a
golf.
quick break. I see a bunch of comments. We're going to let this all be you next. So let's take a quick break. We'll be back with Dr. Willey and Dr. Sara Franco in just a second.
Think about this. When's the last time you called your doctor at 2 o'clock in the morning and he actually answered? Well, at Innovare Health Advocates, their patients are special. Their doctors, nurse practitioners, their care team care deeply about your health, your family, your work, and even your pet. Their clinicians are accessible and they lead your care in and out of the hospital. In fact, Dr. Charles Willey offers his cell phone number to his patients to ensure they can intervene early in your illness. They can provide care above and beyond, offering lab, X-ray, echocardiogram, and other treatments in their office. Innovare Health Advocates with 5 locations on both sides of the river. Check them out, innovarehealth.com.
Welcome back. It is 8 o'clock, and we're talking with Dr. Charles Willey and Dr. Sara Franco. Not so much a cage match. In fact, a lot of agreement here, which I love. And I knew that would happen. Can you please make him laugh like you did when we went out? So this was funny. We all got together, had a couple drinks. I kind of wanted to see how was this going to play out, and I was like, this is going to be great. 2 very well-respected medical professionals. And originally, it was...
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It is 5 o'clock in, I don't know, somewhere. But yes, your comment was... All right, well, what is considered holistic and homeopathic medicine, natural medicine? There's a lot of traditional doctors that might just think, like you used to hear that people thought that chiropractors were quacks, then they had more respect, then there's insurance that are covering the chiropractic aspect. And she made a comment that made him laugh. Will you please say it?
Is this appropriate?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. No, so, I mean, I was defending functional medicine a little bit and said that I agree with Western medicine in a lot of aspects, that we don't tell people to go lick a frog's butt just to don't take your blood pressure medicine. But let's find out why you have high blood pressure, not just give you a pill to take it. So.
Can we get her canceled?
Cancel culture.
and he made me promise to say it on camera, so I guess
He said, would you please say that?
And we don't, and we still don't recommend anybody lick any frog butts. Just like in anesthesia, we don't use poison dart frogs anymore either. We have drugs that are better than that. However, my mission is just to get people to take a little bit better care of themselves and kind of advocate for themselves, and maybe instead of just throwing a pill at something, getting to the root cause of why that is.
And it's funny because we've been talking about the importance of water, and somebody said, I'm getting Charlie horses. Why is that?
Not enough water.
Probably most commonly too dry. So most common cause of muscle cramps, dehydration. Mm-hmm. Consider, especially in sweet little old ladies, not doing much every day, go to the grocery and do a lot of walking and have cramps that night next day. So muscle fatigue can be, but that's got hydration involved in it as well. If your potassium or magnesium are low, it's probably because I did it to you. I'm giving you a pill that might wash that out.
Most people think potassium is the reason why they have Charlie horses.
Everyone, go eat a banana. It's not generally.
It's difficult to have. It's unusual, possible to have low, abnormal electrolytes if you're not taking a pill or don't have bad kidneys, etc.
Okay.
So for the average person, hydration.
Mm-hmm.
So you had mentioned earlier, Dr. Willey, that medicines are so incredibly high, and then sometimes people will say, well, can I take the generic? Sometimes the answer is yes, insurance is covering or not covering, and there's so much out of pocket. So Marilyn said they are charging way too much for some medicines. Why is this?
Well, how much time do we have?
As long as you want.
The short summary is government and corruption, okay, and not enough competition. And not enough honesty about the medications. And so, it's, but on the other hand, there are miracle drugs.
Yes.
I mean, thank God for drug companies, because they're producing drugs that really make a difference. Mm-hmm. But if drug company A produces a good drug company B, what do? They buy it, their chemists analyze it, they put a hydrogen atom on the drug over here, doesn't make a lick of difference about the performance of the drug. But guess what? That's a new chemical, and they get a new patent. And what do? Instead of charging, $100,000 a year, they charge $98,000 a year for the drug. Okay, and it's no better. So we need honesty and chicane. We need honesty and competition, and in pricing. And it costs way too much to bring a drug to market. It's up to, think, $2 billion now to bring a drug to market. So if you're going to bring a drug to market for $2 billion, how are you going to recover that?
Right.
You're going to charge $100,000 a year.
Corruption
It's
in the government
government
isn't
and
as
corruption.
serious we need to do.
Yeah.
Somebody said, I wish they would realize those on a fixed income cannot afford some of these drugs. Makes you feel like we are being weeded out, and it's sad.
Yeah, another problem is in the way insurance does it. And you know, God love the old Biden administration, but they're going to take even more. Listen, healthcare is dangerous. You can have too much, and many people have too much. If you make it too inexpensive, people will want too much of something that's dangerous, right? So, so people ought to have a means-tested skin in the game. It ought to cost you enough to think about, do I really need this?
Right.
To ask the doctor, listen, do I really need this? To pay enough attention to it that, you know, should I keep taking this? That's the healthy question. Keep asking me. If you have any concern, ask me again and again and again, and I'll re-explain it and reanalyze.
Well,
Thank
that's
God
the
for
communication
do-overs.
you always talk about. You want between your
Absolutely.
patient and you.
This is a dangerous liaison. You've got to pay attention, and just because the doctor says so doesn't mean it's right for you.
I love that you said that, because there are too many people, and again, as you know, I have mad respect for the medical industry, but sometimes I believe that there's way too much power given just because they're wearing a white coat. Oh, he said it, I got to do it. Well, you got to question it. Ask questions, communicate more. Sorry, George. Yeah. You got to communicate more, and you've got to say, well, I'm going to be an advocate here. Do I absolutely need this? Because this is, as Linda just said, this is crazy expensive. I can't afford this.
Yeah.
Let's go back to.
So she asked me that question. I'll engineer a way to make it less expensive if possible.
If possible, yeah.
Yeah.
But if it's
to
needed,
do something different. You know, there's a whole bunch of, in diabetes, we're spending oodles of money in diabetes for all these pills because most doctors get paid in a way they have to go so fast they can't do anything but prescribe a medicine.
Right.
You know, but there's a whole bunch of diabetes medication prescribed because people aren't eating correctly. You talked about gut health. What on there was sugar, carbohydrate. If you're bloated and you're gassy, that's all probably carbohydrate.
Well, and that's
but if you're diabetic and you eliminate carbohydrate, eliminate it. You know, don't go on a consistent carb diet. Eliminate it. You know, protein and vegetables. You won't have that problem.
Dr. Willey, by the way, if you haven't heard him
and you won't
said,
need as much medicine. You won't need a, $8,000 a year medication.
well, that goes back to them following what all three of us always say, which is to be healthier in your life in general. Yeah. He's big on the caveman diet, right? So protein, vegetables. You just said it. Phil said, do you recommend that people cut out sugar, processed foods, and seed oils?
I mean, if you can, anything that you can cut out that's processed or mechanically separated or, any of those kind of things, then it's absolutely, clean eating is going to just make you feel better. There's no way now whether they necessarily cause cancer or cause infertility or some of the other things that they're linked with, I can't say. But I can tell you that if you're eating that amount of chemicals, it's got to be doing something to your body on the inside. So anything that you can do to kind of, avoid those kind of things.
So, I keep it simple. The manufacturers know what we like: salt, fat, and sweet. Right? So, carbohydrate. If you've heard it, shop the perimeter of the grocery store.
I was just going to say, I was waiting for you to say it.
Anything comes in a box, it's probably not that good for you.
Right.
Right.
Go back to nature. Go back to the roots. Again,
if you can't catch it, pick it, or shoot it. Don't eat it.
If you can't what?
If you can't catch it, pick it, or shoot it. Don't eat it.
Don't lick its frog butt, though.
But don't lick a frog
You didn't laugh as hard as you did that day, by the way.
Well, the joke's always best the first time.
This is true. Somebody said, I love my chiropractor. He keeps me moving, right? So from the movement standpoint, I would never have known about my severe spinal cord compression if it wasn't for my chiropractor recommending an MRI on my neck. So, again, going back...
Well, wait a minute. That's cheating.
Why?
For a chiropractor to order an MRI.
It's cheating? Recommending.
Isn't an MRI traditional medicine?
But see, that's why I said there needs to be a marriage. I believe there needs to be a marriage between Western and Eastern, traditional and functional.
Just kidding.
Do you agree with that?
No, I agree with that. I would be very hesitant to go to a chiropractor who didn't want to take any kind of radiologic anything and just started manipulating me. I think that can be very dangerous.
Marilyn says, I love my chiropractor, Dr. Kelly. I go monthly, feel part of my maintenance to keep this aging body in shape, and I love acupuncture. So I have to actually say I had a Chinese physician that was very well respected. Unfortunately, he's in another country now. When he left, I asked him if there was a person that he would recommend, and he said no, because there's not very many people that I think are doing it to the level that he was doing. But I did love the way I was feeling. He also stopped my dog from having grand mal seizures, horrible seizures, and they wanted to put her on phenobarbital, and I said no. Asked another doctor, and then one doctor said, have you ever tried acupuncture for, and I said, they do that for animals? And he's like, absolutely. So I was sent to this
Where
Chinese
did they put the
physician.
needle?
All throughout her body. But they're called wires, not needles, in acupuncture, by the way. Got it.
All right, explain why that works.
So it's the meridian points. Well, this is the thing, though. He said, as an Eastern culture doctor, he has to go through the same level of training that a Western doctor has to do, and Eastern on top of it, that particular physician. So that's where I had a lot of respect for him, but he had multiple letters behind his name from a doctor standpoint. He put them all throughout her body. And literally, I had veterinarians, who I would imagine you respect, because that's a true doctor, saying, yes, we have actually a lot of times, and we look at opening our practice more and more now, of incorporating that because they had seen that it was helping. And I said, well, I'm living proof that she was having seizure after seizure after seizure. He did the acupuncture on her and then gave her some Chinese herbs that she took, and she never had one again. And she was having multiple.
Wait, which did it? The acupuncture or the
Both.
herbs?
I think it needs to be a combination.
You think? How do you know?
I trust as much as I trust you.
Where's the double-blind controlled study that?
Maybe they do. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else has had this same experience, but you don't know enough about acupuncture, right? You would have to study that.
I'm completely ignorant about it, but just show me the evidence.
What are your thoughts on acupuncture?
Well, I'm going to mediate here because phenobarbital is an herb, so at a level. So, maybe
natural.
Maybe
but it would have altered how she would have been in her personality, and I was not a fan of that.
How do you know?
For sure.
Did you try it?
Phenobarbital?
Did you try it?
Why would I want to?
Because it might stop the seizures.
But I also know that it completely alters how a person's personality
I
is.
think she has a zombie dog.
I wouldn't want a zombie dog.
Maybe not.
Phenobarbital?
Anyway.
Don't you think there's enough studies to show that, again, the zombie aspect of how a person would act or a dog would act?
We don't use phenobarbital much anymore.
Good. But back then they would have.
Yeah.
It's to me, I think that's what I'm trying to get at. There are too many doctors out there that aren't to the level of you, that are too quick to say, just take this and go away. Which you've actually talked about before. You just mentioned 10 minutes ago that doctors, if they don't take the time, it's in and out, here's medicine, out of the office. And you don't practice that way, which is why we've been trying to stress why people need to switch. You will take the time to say, hang on, let's go through all these levels. We have to communicate better. I do like the fact that I didn't know that they weren't using as much anymore. I'm happy to hear that. I would have no desire to be put on phenobarbital unless I absolutely had to, because of the way it would alter who you are and the way she would have
it was a party drug in the 60s.
Really? No? Yes? He's saying yes. Sort of.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, that's why. And so I think that if you're all in agreement with me here, it is that you more so are saying, what can I do before I have to walk around like a zombie? What can my dog do before she's suddenly not the personality of the way the dog was? That mindset is where we bring it home, of people asking for this, can we work together? Mm-hmm. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that. Yeah, I definitely think. I mean, I think there is room. I think there's room for both East Side and West Side. So.
Ooh,
listen.
It's like West Side Story.
If acupuncture is useful, I'm all for it. Mm-hmm. Right.
So
just
really,
show me the evidence.
Okay.
And not everything I do has good evidence behind it, but let's study it. If it's that important,
right?
Let's study it.
And that's what I respect. That you don't say no. You just say,
yeah.
Let me look into this more. Let me see if there's a need to this.
And kind of building on something that he said earlier about how expensive it is to bring something to Volition here to take. The FDA is there to protect us. I have no beef with the FDA. However, they make it very, very difficult to try to do studies to get medication here. If you look at things that they're doing in Europe, they're probably at least a decade ahead of us. We just started mistletoe therapy for one of our cancer patients, stage 4 breast and lung cancer patients, that has been being looked at in Germany for like 18 years. They've done one study here in the U.S. at Johns Hopkins. So,
Okay. And that is where I wanted to go in our final 10 to 15
I'm
minutes.
happy to have Europe be our dog lab, by the way.
But why is this, though, that other countries, many people believe, are so much more advanced, and that other countries laugh at us, and we're the laughing stock?
Remember thalidomide?
I do remember thalidomide.
Thalidomide.
I'm too young.
I mean, I remember reading about thalidomide.
Thalidomide.
From an anti-emetic
And
standpoint.
it was a.
They gave it to
I
pregnant
think it was
women for
a pregnant women for
anti-emetic.
nausea. Nausea.
Yep.
Thalidomide. The babies were being born without limbs.
or like very, very mal-developed limbs. So thalidomide babies. So it was quickly cut off.
We should be careful.
Right.
But I do have a beef with the FDA. It's monstrously corrupt. You know, there's a revolving door between drug companies and FDA bureaucrats. You know, and a drug company will come in and say, "Hey, FDA bureaucrat, approve this ridiculously expensive drug that doesn't really work." Okay, take Alzheimer's. There's a new Alzheimer's drug, $100,000 a year, doesn't work. Okay, you know, Dr. Perlmutter at WashU and 18 of his colleagues, 18 of 20 FDA advisors, neurology advisors, resigned when they approved the drug. It doesn't work. And they charge $50,000 for it. Then they say, "Oh, well, what if we charge $25,000 a year for it?" And FDA approved it anyway. Maybe they backed off and they restudied it, and it's now $100,000. It still doesn't work, right? That's corruption, right? We need the research. We need honest, credible, reliable research, but we don't need $2 billion of corrupt bureaucracy.
Correct.
Right. So.
And then you get these desperate people that have Alzheimer's and have stage 4 breast cancer, and they're willing to do whatever and pay whatever. I had another breast cancer patient that was only taking half of her medication because she couldn't afford to take it daily, and now her breast cancer is back and it's metastasized to her lungs. So it's devastating.
Absolutely. Let's see. Somebody said my doctor's a chiropractor and he has placed me on supplements for my thyroid, high blood pressure, and Bell's palsy. Kim wants to know what's the difference between Eliquis and it starts with an X. Xarelt.
Xarelto.
Xarelto.
They just work on different in the clotting cascade. There's an intrinsic and extrinsic component. They work on different factors in the clotting cascade.
Somebody's agreeing, which all three of us, saying food is medicine. I have a really good chiropractor. He's very knowledgeable. He communicates with the patients about their entire medical history and works with both doctors, medical as well as holistic. He evaluates each patient. He's one of the good ones. And again, as we said, there's good ones out there. I take a multivitamin and vitamin D every day. I try to eat healthy. My doctor checked them for me, works for me. So do you think we need to take vitamin D and multivitamins?
Well, vitamin D is not generally a component of a multivitamin. The multivitamins usually they're only the water-soluble vitamins in case you would take too much of it. Or, you know, if you had a child that ate the whole bottle of Flintstone vitamins, you don't want them eating an entire bottle of vitamin D or E or K or A. So, let me back up. Some of them will have vitamin A, but most of them don't have D or K in them.
Okay.
If you agree with that. So.
Yeah. So people are saying, 2 incredible doctors who are real in how you take care of your patients. This is how to live healthier. It's a mindset and takes effort to be healthier, but so many Americans want immediate gratification and want it now in a pill or an injection form. So sad. We are an addictive society and it's killing us. Thank you both for aligning with Monica. Doctors working together is key. Good doctors will listen and work together for the better for each patient, finding someone who really cares about the patient's outcome instead of the end profit. Both of you are an important message, working together, sharing knowledge together. It wasn't a cage match, folks.
No.
It was two respected.
Open-mindedness,
yes.
I think.
Great information. Thank you. Thank you
get
so
that
much.
Contact information. I'll put that person on my marketing team.
Oh, this says it's coming from Innovare. Great information. Thank you. Thank you so much for bringing back and bringing this together. Absolutely. Dr. Sara, we dealt with the unknown blood clot origin in our family. Did they rule out a PFO on you?
Yes, I had an echo, so it isn't that, and I had a pulmonary embolism, so it wasn't a blood clot throughout my body. It was just multiple pulmonary emboli.
Okay, and then lastly, I know the body reacts to acupuncture different. Dr. Heather treated my ringing in my ear and has never come back. Sometimes I get a ping in my ear and only one treatment and it was gone. I have some pain in different areas and I get relief in one treatment. I was shocked, but I'm a believer. And I think that's it. Let's just bring it back to that. If someone were to come to you and say, Dr. Willey, I'm going to a chiropractor, I'm going to somebody for acupuncture, I go to have massage therapy, and overall they just say, these things make me feel better. You probably would say what? As long as they're feeling good.
Well, if that sounds like the person already has experience, so it's not harming them, they can afford it, and if it's helping them, that's fine. Right?
And same thing for you?
I agree. When I was going through infertility, I remember reading, a lot of studies, British, out of Oxford and things like that, and they were proponents of using DHEA and CoQ10, which we're really not there yet here. And I remember asking my doctor, is it safe to do this? Do you recommend this? And he said, there's not a lot of studies that show, any kind of positive benefit, but if it makes you feel better, then I want you to do it. A lot of people, a lot of times, are just looking to have a little bit of control because they feel like they're out of control, and you want to be in control of your body. So, so I agree. If you're doing it, whether you believe in chiropractics or not, or acupuncture or not, if it's making you feel better and it's not hurting anything, and like he said, you can afford it, then you should do it.
I think that's what it comes back to. What I hear from you, Dr. Willey, is you are really trying to say, are you throwing money away? And is it working, or is it a placebo effect, or is it a mindset effect?
Yeah, the placebo effect is real. So in the acetaminophen trials, give 1,000 people acetaminophen, Tylenol, give another 1,000 something that looks and tastes like it. But the 2,000 people don't know which, for headaches, right? So in the placebo, and then after a period of time, 6-12 months, switch them. They still don't know which they're taking. They don't know they've been switched, but keep track of the headaches. In the placebo branch, 40% of the people got relief from the nothing pill for their headache. So the placebo effect is real. Sometimes we take advantage of that. Usually not, but so is a placebo makes your headache go away? If a nothing pill that you believe makes your headache go away makes your headache go away, I'm all for it. Just don't pay $8 million for it.
Well, it's also
and make sure it's safe. So safe, affordable, effective, and I'm happy about it.
But do you also have liver failure now because you've taken all of this acetaminophen, or should you just figure out why you're having a headache in the first place?
Absolutely.
And I think that's kind of where these two sides of medicine have to come together.
Right, because there's a lot of people, and that's why, my husband, I love you, but he's so quick to pop this and this for a headache and a backache, and I'm just like, maybe roll out, let's get rid of lactic acid, let's see, did you sleep wrong before you throw something in your body right away, and I don't know what you're doing to your intestines, your stomach lining.
So I'm not going to own that. My colleagues, unfortunately, most physicians get paid in a way they have to go fast.
Sure.
They have to go so fast. They get paid in a way they have to go so fast, and if they don't go that fast, they'll A, won't get their bonus, and B, they'll probably get spanked, and if they keep doing it, they'll get fired.
I'm so glad
right,
you said
but I'm
this.
always looking for the root cause. Headaches, all comers, by volume of population, people who come to the doctor with headaches, 80% of they're not sleeping well, their posture's bad,
they're
dehydrated.
Can we continue to say we're
all
dehydrated
that stuff will make it go away and stop.
Yes.
Temporarily Tylenol, but never, if you have headaches, don't be taking Tylenol every day for a long time, or with any regularity. Figure out why you have the headache.
The root cause.
It doesn't cure anything. It ameliorates. It makes it bother you less, but it doesn't solve any problem. It only covers it. Sometimes we need cover, but don't ignore the underlying possibility.
Do not ignore the things that are a gut instinct. I think is a very big thing. I follow my gut as much as I possibly can. Sometimes I dismiss it, and we shouldn't. I love this though. Both of you, knowing my background, would you right now tell me that I should be taking aspirin every single day because of my clotting disorder?
I think yes.
Are you taking anything for it?
No, I was on Coumadin, and I was told I was going to be on it for the rest of my life, and I didn't want to be.
The National Panel of Smart Guys
They
have
would say
changed their.
aspirin? They would say to take an
The
aspirin?
National Panel of Smart Guys have changed their mind 4 times in my career about aspirin.
Well, that's why
The
I'm
most-
sitting here asking.
The most wise thing I've ever heard about aspirin from one of those smart guys was, the correct dose is somewhere between 81 milligrams and 2 full-strength aspirins. Right?
But would you say yes?
I take an aspirin today. I would definitely, if I were you, take an aspirin.
And here's why I'm bringing this up, and this is why I say, I'm going to bring it home here, why you need traditional medicine and functional medicine, but ultimately follow the gut and trust the doctor. And if you don't trust your doctor, then you should be flipping to a doctor that will take care of you like this, because I had a DO that said, I don't think you should.
So what's the trade-off? You'll bleed easier. So the other day I was at Missouri Baptist, and the Zamboni was at the other end of the hall. Now they mop the floors with a machine that a guy rides on. So
I was wondering where you're going with
I'm
that.
calling that the Zamboni.
It does, now that you mention it, it does
They
look
look
just
like
like a
it.
Zamboni.
Yeah, and so maybe the little sign was out in the, it's you get off the elevator and you come in and there's hallways that go like this. Maybe the sign was out there, but I turned the corner and slipped. And fortunately, I was close enough to the rail, so I had a hand on the rail. This foot went out, but this leg let me down, and I landed. I didn't break a hip, but I pulled a muscle in my quad, and I got a giant hematoma in my quad. It's the bruises. So if I weren't on aspirin, that bruise wouldn't have been as big. That hematoma wouldn't have been as big from that torn muscle. So there's a side effect.
Do you take an aspirin every day?
I do.
Okay, so I know everybody that loves me is at home
So-
going, go back to taking an aspirin
So Monica,
a day.
stop it a week before you go skydiving.
I do want to go skydiving again. I've done that before. Okay. So an aspirin a day, but
81 milligram, we don't call them baby aspirins anymore because you shouldn't give aspirin to babies because of a whole nother syndrome that can happen. But 81 milligram, they call it low dose aspirin now.
okay, so I'm not looking for a baby aspirin.
Nope.
Low dose, does it need to be, because back then it needed to be enteric coated?
That's a good idea.
I don't think yours should be enteric coated because I think you have a red dye allergy.
Oh, yeah, see, we're figuring some things out. So not enteric coated.
I wouldn't do enteric coated.
Yeah,
Take it with food.
I was breaking out.
Well, the
from-
low dose aspirins you can chew, and they're actually pretty delicious. You might like
Oh.
them since you like the vitamin C chews. I'm a Flintstone vitamin person myself every once in a while, but
So what should I take? Should I take a Flintstone one?
you need to take a low dose
Flintstone?
chewable aspirin. You might like it.
Because you know
but
I'm just a
one.
big kid. You two are awesome. I told you this would be fun. Can we do this again? Once a month? Bring you two together? And lick frogs.
And lick frogs.
We won't do it. Oh, hang on. There's more. What are your thoughts on fasting? Oh, should we table that for another show?
I mean, I'll speak up right now.
Okay.
I think if you're going to fast and throw your body into ketosis and stay there and never eat a carb again, then you're okay. Otherwise, I think you're absolutely screwing up your metabolism.
I'm not a fan of fasting, if you're asking me, Dr. Willey.
I think it makes some sense to not eat all day long and eat a shorter part of the day. Is that what we're talking about?
Well, there's people, that's the thing. You'd have to go
you
deeper
eat
into what is the fasting
the
that you're doing.
evening meal and don't eat again till lunch. I don't think that's terrible. It's more important what you're eating.
Coming
And-
from a personal
and
training
avoiding
background,
carbs.
I've always been big on eating every few hours to keep your metabolism
Well,
going.
because you're burning.
Slow, frequent meals.
Yeah, you're burning calories all day. Now, listen. The only exercise I get is yammering. Right?
Yeah.
I'm on my backside yammering. I don't burn many calories. One day I'll have time to exercise again. I didn't
You
drink
need
coffee.
to come to someone you know that
I
trains.
didn't.
I know a guy.
I didn't drink coffee until I was 45 years old,
Really?
when I really got busy and had to stop running every day.
Yeah.
So people say, do I drink coffee? No, I use it. Do I like it? Well, I've sort of acclimated, but
I understand from a fasting standpoint if you're not moving much and you're not expending energy, maybe. But to me, you're just slowing your metabolism down. That's my thoughts, and I have a lot of...
especially, I think that might not be true if you don't fast for days. Definitely true if you don't eat, your body will go into energy conservation mode, and I don't, that'll take a day or two probably. But not eating as eating all day long from sun up to sundown isn't necessary. You can compress it and probably do yourself a favor. Get into a calorie burn. No, but if you're pounding the carbs when you do eat for those 6 or 8 hours a day,
Right.
you're not going to lose any weight.
Yeah, your body will be in starvation mode, and it's just going to hold on to everything that you're taking. So, I mean, if you're the thing about these diets and fad diets, and I believe me, I've done all of them, is that if you're going to do it, you have to do it. You don't get cheat days, and you know every time you do that, then you've taken 4 steps forward and then 10 steps back. So.
Well, we can go deeper into this in another show, and I can bring a dietitian on. I have multiple dietitians that I have mad respect for, and every one of them, I'm just going to tell you, every one of them, including myself, we're not huge fans of it. So you got to make up your own decision, but I mean, you are asking, so I put it out there. We didn't do this yet, so we need to make sure she just wrote in about the Shingrix, because I almost forgot that. Thank you, by the way, for asking. She just said, can you comment on the Shingrix vaccine and occasional breakouts? Is that common? So you looked into this.
Yeah, I couldn't find something about occasional breakouts, but I wonder if she's getting herpes simplex fever blisters. See that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's herpes simplex, a fever blister. I kissed a girl in college who had that. Now there's
Really?
another herpes simplex. I don't have that one.
Yes.
Right?
So
1 and 2.
What do you take for that?
I hit it with acyclovir early, and then it stifles it. So that's shingles and chickenpox are herpes zoster, right? This is herpes simplex. They're similar viruses. They live, once you get them, they retreat. When this goes away, it retreats and lives in my spinal cord, and one day wakes up and comes back down. And it's probably a clue I'm burning the midnight oil too much.
Yeah, stress.
Stress, but probably that and not shingles coming back.
Do you know anything about because they asked us actually last week about the Shingrix vaccine. Do you know anything about
having an
breakouts?
occasional breakout after you've taken the vaccine?
Yes.
My understanding is that you're just not retaining that immunity. Like kind of the folks that have had the chickenpox vaccine and then gotten the chickenpox, or I've always heard people say you can't have chickenpox twice. I had chickenpox twice. So, but I also know that every time I go and have every baby I've had, they'll check to see if my MMR is that I'm immune to measles, mumps, and rubella, and it comes back not immune every single time. I've probably had 8 MMR vaccines and still do not retain immunity against mumps. So,
but it's again, shingles is much less likely to be a repetitive problem.
That's
the
true.
frequency of which is implied in that question. More likely, it's herpes simplex.
Somebody was, again, I love the community responding together. Somebody said, Marilyn, my hearing aids cancel out the ringing in my ears quite a bit. Thank you. That's great. My hearing's excellent. I keep volume very low in my house, and it drives my family crazy. Cannot believe I can hear it, but it's true. It's been 20 years and no ringing. I do have to budget for this treatment. Yeah.
Can I ask your viewer a question about the shingles?
The Shingrix?
Did she go to a dermatologist or was it definitely determined to be shingles? Because I've seen patients that have broken out before. It's been on one side of the body. It just followed those warm areas, very much followed shingles, and it turned out to be an allergic reaction to something that they were taking. So I just want to make sure, not that I'm, against getting a shingles vaccine, but besides it maybe being a herpes simplex, it could also just be an allergic response to something, and that might be why it's reappearing over and over again.
Yeah, Kim, if you're still on, if you wanna answer that before we wrap up. Somebody said I take simvastatin
for high cholesterol.
20 milligrams. Is there something else I should take with it?
Well, that would require a little bit more of a dive. Are you taking the simvastatin because of HDL, LDL, triglycerides? Is it genetic? If there's a genetic component, a lot of cholesterol can be modified by diet and exercise, drinking red wine. Not that I'm suggesting, doing that in excess or anything else.
A little bit of alcohol is good for you.
But
if
right
you're
on
not
Wednesdays
an
with Wet Your Whistle.
With what you're, I know. I tell you, you saved my life the night that I had the blood clot because we had wine that night, and I was like, I don't know if I would have made it to the ER the next morning.
You're welcome.
But simvastatin, it really depends. If you have a genetic component, there's genetic components to high cholesterol. I know people who eat way better than I eat, and they have really high cholesterol. So in that case, you need to take a medication for it. But I think, but some cholesterol and high blood pressure, heart disease can be controlled with diet and exercise.
There's information that they may serendipitously be anti-atherosclerotic, irrespective of what they do to LDL.
They stabilize plaque. So
Yeah.
Somebody said niacin and apple cider vinegar to knock out high cholesterol.
So that's a different class of a cholesterol medication. So one that has been mentioned works on HDL and triglycerides, and the other works on LDL and triglycerides. So
I think that the proof that niacin is anti-atherosclerotic and useful has not held up. So I don't recommend it anymore. It doesn't hurt you, but I don't recommend it. Apple cider vinegar,
I've heard tons.
That-
Well, that kind of falls into the
that's a cheap date.
natural. You're a fan of apple cider vinegar for multiple
I don't.
reasons.
Does it help? I don't know. Does it hurt? Probably not.
Right.
So
if it doesn't hurt and you believe it's helping you,
and you can afford it.
and you
well,
can
and you can afford it. That's the message. All right, one final thing we do have to wrap up. I heard of a study from Harvard that shows high blood pressure lowers the lecithin.
Lecithin levels.
And then she just wrote question mark in the body and leads to diabetes. Could Dr. Willey or Sara please look at that and comment in a future show, or you can right now, that this study shows that high blood pressure lowers the lecithin in the body and leads to diabetes. Do we want to look into that one?
Well, I think it's pretty, I'll look into it further. I think it's pretty well proven metabolic syndrome, which is, high cholesterol, hypertension, high blood sugar, they all very often go hand in hand. So that would not surprise me, but I would have to take a deeper dive on that.
I don't have any information that high blood pressure causes diabetes. They often show up in the same person for some of the same reasons, as Sara just mentioned,
Love fest.
Love
fest. Love fest.
Everybody's singing today.
You're right. Oh, yeah. It's your turn.
Absolutely not. Your viewers will be like, off.
So I'm feeling what could have been leading into the show today, fear and anxiety. What do you think? Instead of shame or anger or depression, there could have been a little fear and anxiety of how this would have gone.
Okay.
Do you feel this one, or do you feel a different one?
Oh, no, I'm okay.
Is that good? You like that one?
Don't worry. Be happy.
All right, one final break.
Anxiety is really, listen, if I could wave a wand and cure all anxiety, half the doctors in the country would go out of business.
Very true.
I'm not kidding you.
So that's what they come to me for health and mental coaching, all of that to try to bring the stress down. We all are really needed for your life. Okay, 100 Days to Freedom from Fear and Anxiety when we return.
Invita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. Invita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, Invita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let Invita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment or online invitahealthandwellness.com.
It's 8:38, and thank you again for staying with us. Overtime today. It was needed, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and actually they did. I just told them they could go because they got to get to their patients. But we have said how much fun it was, how interactive you all were, how many questions came in. And by the way, continue to have the comments come in. If you didn't get a chance to get your question answered, then go ahead and drop it in because the two of them will regularly pop in and look at the comments so they can answer them before the following week. So we'll have them more individual for the next few weeks, and then we'll bring them back together. Before they walked out, I just said, what do you think? Did you like it? Would you do it again? And they both said yes. So there we go. Maybe once a month we bring them together to talk again about what I think should happen, which is that beautiful marriage between, again, what you consider Western or traditional medicine, and then anything that falls under kind of functional medicine, holistic, homeopathic medicine. I sometimes people feel that just going to get massages falls kind of in that, and that I have a firm belief that should be done on a regular basis. I need to have it done, not once every 6 months or once every year, but some people like to go on a monthly. I mean, if you can afford it and you can go on a weekly basis, I'd have a massage every day if I could afford it, trust me. So it's back to that, can you afford it? Doesn't make you feel better. All right, light for our life. We're at number 23 of 100 Days to Freedom from Fear and Anxiety from Stephen Arterburn. The Lord is my light and my salvation, so why should I be afraid? The Lord is my fortress, protecting me from danger, so why should I tremble? That's Psalm 27, verse 1. So many children are afraid of the dark. If you had kids, you know that. Their imaginations can create all kinds of monsters, from the shapes of furniture, toys, clothing thrown in the back of a chair. What is that? Is that a monster? The shadows and the outlines create images that look harmless when the light is on. And as we become adults, we're able to discern those images and we go back to sleep. But sometimes as adults, we imagine the worst possible situation about things in our life that we haven't yet exposed to the light. When we are able to hold our struggles and fears up to the light of God's Word, prayer, and connection with other believers, we are able to discern what is true. It doesn't mean that we won't have feelings about these things, but we will know that God is with us as we go through them. Whatever fear you are facing today, offer it to the light of the Lord. Ask God to reveal the truth, provide grace to handle what you need to, and give you strength to take the necessary steps to move forward. Talk with a trusted friend. In fact, sometimes that can be the most difficult part, sharing out loud what is buried in your heart. Yet it can offer a different view on whatever you are carrying alone. Search the scriptures to see more of the truth about the Lord's provision for your life. It's time to turn on the light. In fact, Barbara Johnson says, faith is seeing light with your heart when all your eyes can see is darkness. Plato said we can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. And Martin Luther King Jr., darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Truly one of my favorites from the late, great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Today's prayer, Lord God, shed your light on my fears so that I may discern your truth and have courage and wisdom for whatever I face today. So if Dr. Willey and Dr. Franco came in today and had a little fear and anxiety to wonder how was the show going to go, well, they both just answered it. They liked it. They enjoyed it. And I do believe that we'll be able to bring them back together. Maybe we even do it more than once a month if you would like that. Thank you all so very much. What a great idea to have both of these amazing individuals on your podcast at the same time. It was wonderful. Well, I'm glad, Diana. Thank you very much. Very candid and informative. Thank you and thank them. Absolutely. And thank you, by the way, for you. Not just you, but all of you that are sharing these stories, sharing these beautiful spotlight features that we do, and then sharing our full-blown shows on Facebook and on YouTube. And on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday when I'm running the show from home, we also included the platforms on X and Twitter. We're trying to figure out that we can get them here as well. I've got to get it to where if we launch on new platforms, we make sure Monday through Friday we're able to do that. So we're working on that for you, but I am loving the fact that this show is just growing and growing and growing. Again, as I always say, if you have any ideas of future shows that you would like for us to do, let us know. Email me, info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. This Thursday, I'd love to see you live at Espresso Yourself Coffee House. Michelle dropping in all the different links for you. That's in the Soha area, they call it, Southampton area in the city. And Jules and Tracy that own Espresso Yourself, we're going to take the show live to them. Cannot wait. I'd love to see you. We will have our journals out there. That's the beginning of the merchandise that will be on our, we have a store that we are getting ready to put together on TheRealMonicaAdams.com. It's going to have jackets. I just put in the order for it, by the way. You all asked for jackets and t-shirts. We heard, and we are delivering. Jackets, t-shirts, and journals will be at the Working Women's Show. I will be there coming up the weekend of February 16th, 17th, and 18th. I will be speaking on the 17th, bringing Allison Arngrim out on stage, on the main stage. She will speak at 2 o'clock, and I'll speak for a half hour before that. We will have a booth out there, by the way. I'm told we're going to be right next to the rescue dogs. We'll have a booth there on Friday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And there are VIP tickets that are for sale right now. If you want to do a little meet and greet with Allison, I will be there as well. That'll be on Friday. I believe it's in the afternoon. So those tickets are on sale, as well as the tickets for the Working Women's Show. And then two final pieces of business. Ruby Lee is coming to concert in April, first of all, April 20th at Rickman Auditorium. Those tickets are on sale. They went on sale on February 1st. I'd love to see you. I've got some clients of mine that said that they're coming to that. Ruby Lee, the Voice finalist, that is on sale for you right now, again on Saturday, April 20th. And then 4th of July, she is going to Defiance Ridge Vineyards. That's where we're now doing our Wet Your Whistle Wednesdays with Chuck Gillentine. Thursday, July 4th, 4 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. She'll take the stage at 7:30, and right before that, I'll be on stage with you and bring that beautiful soul out, and then stick around for the fireworks. So some fun things coming up, and there are more and more and more. Live shows, events, speaking engagements, MC and auctioneer, and congratulations, by the way, to St. Raphael the Archangel. I think we raised probably about $100,000 at their event on Saturday night. Thrilled once again to be your auctioneer, and if you've got an event coming up, you want to raise huge money, I'm your auctioneer. You've got to have me be a part of it. Trust me, I've raised more money for these organizations than past people, they told me, and that's why I come back year and year and year and year and year. Love to see that for your organization. So reach out to us. info@TheRealMonicaAdams.com. All right, everybody, thank you so much. What a huge show. Just absolutely loved it. Tomorrow, by the way, if you are a grandparent, you absolutely loved your connection with your grandkids, or you are a new grandma or grandpa, you're going to love the authors coming in tomorrow, Danita Mahler and Sara Rice, and it's the Grand Collection. It's all these really cool books that kind of go through the aspect of the connection between grandparents and their grandkids. You're going to love this. A really lighthearted, really beautiful show. Cannot wait for that. And Invita Health and Wellness has their big open house, and that's tomorrow, as you see on the screen, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. We'd love to see you there, 333 South Kirkwood Road in Kirkwood, Missouri. 3-hour event, Invita Health and Wellness. Do a little open house if you've never been there, an opportunity to walk through and see what they do and how they can take care of your body on the inside and out. Thank you to George and Zach behind the scenes, and to Michelle moderating and dropping everything that you need, and to each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in again. All right, go out, enjoy this weather, be anything you want to be in the world, but remember, show kindness to each other. God bless you.